Hello there. Welcome to I Drew Some Reviews. So, today we have a slightly different review to cover. We've done a couple of headset reviews, moving on to a different piece of technology to work on. So today we're going to be covering the Logitech G Series G502 Proteus Core gaming mouse. It labels itself as a tunable gaming mouse, and we'll get into just what that means very shortly. But this is the mouse itself. I'll do a short segment there of some close-ups on the mouse and some shots of underneath. I have some shots for it showing you the weight system, where you can change the weight inside and decide how much weight you want to use. So you can select how heavy you want this mouse to be, and you can select a lot of different things to really tweak this mouse and get it set up how you want. I'm going to preface this by saying that the choice of mouse really has a lot to do with personal style, has to do with the shape of your hand, and whether you're a claw grip or an over grip. It has to do with a lot of things. So get a chance to play with them, get in the store, get your hands on them. In a lot of cases you can even take them home and try them out a little bit and then return them if it's something that's not something that suits you or fits your hand or is the right mouse for you. So there's a lot of different choices out there. This is, I'm going to say in advance, this is a wired gaming mouse. For an actual gaming setup, I definitely prefer a wired gaming mouse. I find you get a better reaction time from it, and you're never going to have that moment where in the heat of the moment in a game, your battery dies. I have had that with wireless mice. I do have wireless mice for other purposes. My laptop mouse here is the Logitech Performance MX wireless. My mouse I use with my Mac in the background is another Logitech. This is an MX Revolution, again wireless. You'll notice that there's a bit of a running trend there. There's a lot of Logitech mice. For me, a Logitech has a feel that fits my hand well, and I've never bought a Logitech mouse that I haven't been satisfied with. There's been a couple designs I don't agree with. I tried their MMO mouse. I don't like the 12 buttons inside, but that's just a personality thing. But in terms of a product quality, I've always been happy with Logitech. So, as always on this channel, a big thing is the specs and explaining the specs so that you understand what they mean in the real world and they can be applied to you, because sometimes they don't always make sense if you don't have the education for it, or if you don't have the understanding of it. So let's run through what they talk about here. This is the box itself. It opens up and you'll see the mouse inside. Really nice layout for the box. It talks about having 11 programmable buttons, 6 different controls, including the DPI shift. I'll talk about DPI in just a moment. Surface tuning with gaming sensor, which is exclusive Delta Zero technology. Very exciting stuff. Basically that just comes down to you can set this mouse up based on what surface it's rolling on. So because this is a wired gaming mouse, it's probably not something you're taking to a bunch of different places. You're not going to suddenly have this on a glass tabletop when you were using it on like a dedicated gaming surface like I have here. So it's a good feature to have to be able to customize the mouse to your setup, but it's not necessarily something you're going to be tuning and changing all the time. And that's going to be a running theme throughout this, because the next piece is that you can put up to 5 different weights inside. So you can have no extra weight added, or there's 5 weights at 3.6 grams each, which totals up to 18 grams you can add to the weight of the mouse if you want. just to give it just that right feel for what feels good for you. But again, once you've tuned in what that right feel is for you, you're probably not going to change that like ever, because that's the feel that you like. Some people like to tweak things a lot, and they'll use a lighter mouse for FPS stuff, and they use a heavier mouse for RTS or whatever it is. But most people will find a mouse weight they like, and just stay with it. So in my case here, I used 3 of the 5 provided weights. I left 2 of them out, and that felt good for me. So to the more sort of in-depth stats. So you talk about a mouse, one of the things they're always going to talk about is resolution. And resolution for a mouse is measured in DPI. So DPI is dots per inch. And what that works out to is if you take a 1 inch by 1 inch square, it's sort of in digitization and the quantization factor when they're converting that square, because there's a sensor at the bottom of the mouse looking at that square on the ground. So when it's converting that square, it's how many individual spots is it seeing on that square. And that actually has a direct translation to how far that cursor is going to move across your screen when you move it in a small amount. So this mouse has 6 different DPI settings, and it goes from 200 DPI all the way to 12,000 DPI. So really quick what that translates to, it's easy to change up and down. So I don't know if you can easily see my mouse cursor is right here, but if you have a lot of screen like this, it's a long way to go to move all the way across all your screens. So you can increase the DPI, and just a small movement crosses all the screens. Or decrease the DPI, and now you gotta move the mouse over and back and over and back before you can get it all the way across the screen. So for most things, you're going to leave the mouse in the same configuration all the time. A really good point that does come up is, especially in like a shooter game, it's nice to have the quick movement to be able to turn around quickly. But if you pull up your scope and you're looking through something, you can quickly double tap, drop your DPI down, and have more fine control of the mouse to be able to line something up in your crosshairs. Fire, double tap again, and you're back into a quick movement to be able to move around. Not always needed for a lot of games, but in some cases it's a nice feature to have to be able to move that mouse sensitivity up and down really quick on the fly. So it talks about max acceleration and max speed. So max acceleration is greater than 40 Gs squared. So you're probably not going to generate more than 40 G with your hand. So 1 G is the weight of gravity being pulled on you. So a G is 9.8 meters per second squared. So greater than 40 G is 40 times the Earth's gravity being pulled on the mouse. So that's a very quick acceleration, and it's, I'm not going to say it's in excess of anything any human's capable of, but it's more than sufficient for anything you're going to be using a mouse for. Max speed is also 300 inches per second squared, so that's exactly what it says, IPS, inches per second. So that's crossing 300 inches of surface material in 1 second. And again, you're not going to do that. You're not going to have 300 inches of available space to do that. Now, responsiveness, this has to do with something that you're going to get on a wired product that you're not going to get on a wireless product. So because it's direct connected by USB, the data format is, it's 16 bits per axis, so a mouse tracks things in 2 dimensions. So that's X and Y axis. So there's a 16-bit USB word being sent for X and a 16-bit word being sent for Y. So there's actually 16 characters of information. So there's a lot of data being sent from this mouse just about the position of the mouse. And that's why it also has a report rate, a response time of 1,000 hertz. So a hertz is how many times something happens per second. So, so 1,000 hertz again is pretty quick, right? And what that translates to is a 1 millisecond response time on any new movement that's happening. So again, very quick. The most minute and quick details that you're doing with the mouse is going to be there, and it's going to respond to you. And that's going to be quite a bit faster than you're going to find in the wireless mice, because they just don't have that constant connection and feed. The next part is glide, and this is, a lot of mice are not going to give you the stat necessarily, and it's sort of a boast that they're doing. So most mice have a Teflon material underneath that helps it slide smoothly. So what they're giving here is the dynamic and the static coefficient of friction. And this gets into a bit of physics, but there's a term called μk and μs. And μk is the kinetic coefficient of friction, and μs is the static coefficient of friction. So in physics there's always kinetic and static in terms of energy and movement. So the μs, or static coefficient of friction, translates to how much force it takes to start moving the mouse. And in this case, it's 0.15 to the power 3. And then coefficient of dynamic friction or kinetic friction is how much force is required to keep the mouse moving once it's already began moving. It always takes more force to start something moving, and once it is moving, it takes less to keep it moving. And that's 10 to the power, or 0.10 to the power 3. So it's a third, or sorry, 2/3 of the force required to get it started. And I'll tell you that, again, to your hand, you're really not going to feel that. Those numbers are so small that you're not feeling the difference between them, and you're not really feeling the force of having to like start this mouse moving. It's not like you're starting to push a car. It's a mouse, and it's quite small and designed to glide very smoothly. So especially if you have a decent gaming surface, that's going to move very easily. And then there's just durability ratings on it. So it tells you that right and left mouse button are rated for 20 million clicks, and the durability, it's designed to slide for 250 kilometers. So if you imagine adding up your desktop surface, that's going to go for quite some time. So that's a quick rundown of the stats. I'm going to go close in on it and give you a chance to see the mouse and see some of the movement it can do. And then there's a bit of a software environment, of course, that comes with it that you download, which is always better. There's no real need to store optical media in with a product anymore, because you download it and then you automatically have the newest version of the software. So there's some configurations that can be done with the software. Excellent piece of software, but very simple. And you're going to do it once, and you're going to set stuff up, and you're never going to have to go in there again, really. So I'll give you a quick tour of the mouse and the weights, and some close-ups of it moving around, and then I'll come back and we'll talk again here. Okay, so here's a close-up of the Logitech G502 Proteus Core gaming mouse. Here's the box itself, side panel, back panel, other side, open. There's even more details in here. Here's the mouse itself. As you can see, it's quite stylish. So there's a button down here. There's two buttons here. These two buttons are what change your level of DPI, and you can see the levels change right there. Obviously your right and left click, and they're a bit of a blade out. They're very stylized, but they're very comfortable to grip. This is obviously a roll wheel, but if you press this button here, the scroll wheel loosens up and it doesn't make that noise anymore, and now you can actually free spin it. That's a Logitech feature that I haven't seen on other mice,
and it's something I've really grown to like. Press the button back and it goes back to a textured scroll. There's another button hidden here. No buttons on this side, just a comfortable grip. Depending on your style, some people just grip over, some people have a full grip. So that has a nice rubber feel to it here. Something for your hand to get a good grip on. Has that glowing G. And then underneath, this is what it looks like. So here's those Teflon slides. And this is the sensor, obviously. But you peel this back, and it just pops off with a magnet. And this is where you put the weights in. And it comes with a weight set here. So there's enough weights to fill the whole back of the mouse. Or you can choose to put these in. Now also, you can choose the placement of these weights. So I have them in this configuration here. But you can choose to have 1, 2, 3, or one at the front and one at the back. And you can choose like sides, and there's infinite, or not infinite, but there's certainly a great number of configurations for how you want these weights to lay out and where they're going to drop the weight of the mouse. I personally found that these 3 over the sensor is what I prefer, and again, I've never gone back in there since I set that up. So these 2 got stored away, and the mouse gets configured the way you like it. The cable is a nice sturdy cable. It has like a cloth braiding on the outside, and what I really like here at the edge, which is where the cable always gets damaged, there's a nice long collar on it with some flex pieces. So this is nice and sturdy, and it's a nice long cable. It goes all the way down through quite a network before it gets down to where it sits for my layout. So that is the up-close layout for the Logitech G502 Proteus Core tunable gaming mouse.
Okay, so welcome back. This has been my review of the Logitech Proteus Core, or the G502. It's a tunable gaming mouse from Logitech, and it's the newest one they have out in the series. So we ran down the mouse, and in my personal opinion, this is the best mouse I've tried, and it is of all the mice that I've had my hands on, and all the mice that I've bought and tried and talked to people about. This is the one that I personally use when I game. So if you're thinking about buying this mouse, I encourage you to try it out and see if it's a good fit for your hand, and see if it's the right design and button layout for what you like to use. And if it is, I'm sure you won't be disappointed. I would recommend. So thanks very much, and once again, this is I Drew Some Reviews. Click subscribe underneath to get an update to find out about when new videos get posted. It's a bit sporadic because I do work a job that keeps me deployed quite a bit. So when I'm home, I have a chance to throw a video up, and that's not always at a regular schedule. So if you hit subscribe, you won't have to keep coming back to the channel to find out when a new video pops up. It'll just let you know. Alright? Thanks very much.